In the first question paper, uh, the questions are, I've only pasted the seventh one here. First we'll solve the seventh one and then move to the eighth one. So the seventh question has three parts. The first part is to describe or find the column space and the null space for the following matrices. The B part is to determine if the vectors which are given are linearly dependent or not dependent. And part C is for the given matrices U, V, and W. Are they pairwise orthogonal or and we need to find their lengths as well. Okay. So let's look at the first one, 7a. So in 7a, you need to find the column and the null space for matrix A and B. So let's see how we can do this. So once you need to find the column space, for column space, we need to have the equation Ax equal to B. So for Ax equal to B, A is given to us, okay, and X is what we'll have, and we are supposed to find B. So based on this, the values of B1 and B2 will be able to. So based on this B1 and B2, we'll be able to determine the column space of the given matrix A. So the matrix A which is given to us is 1, 0, minus 1 and 0. So I've written 1, 0, minus 1 and 0 here. And you can see from here itself that 1, 0, this column, the first column will be the pivot column, whereas the second column, minus 1 and 0, will be the free column because it is minus 1. Right? And X will be X1 and X2. We'll have one column and two rows, and B1 and B2. Right? So the column space is basically the linear combination. So the column space is basically the linear combination, and we need to see if they are independent or dependent. Okay? So now from this equation, you have Ax equal to B. So this will be found as x1 minus x2 equal to b1, and 0x1 plus 0x2 equal to b2. Right? So 0x1 plus 0x2 equal to b2 does not make any sense. So we'll leave that row. However, we have 1 into x1 minus 1 into x2 equal to b1. Right? Someone is posting these arrows on the PPT. And you need to mute yourself as well. Please stop drawing on the screen. Okay, so the column space of A, this basically can be described by B2 equal to 0, since the two columns someone is drawing these arrows on the screen. Please stop doing that. Okay, so the column space of A, this can be described by B2 equal to 0. Okay, and since the two columns are dependent, okay, so basically this just turns out to be the line which is generated by column 1, that is 1 and 0. Right? So you'll have C times 1 comma 1 and 0. Okay. And the null space is found by the solution of Ax equal to 0. Right? So A is given to us 1 minus 1 0 0, and you have x1 and x2 and equal to 0. For For the column space, you have Ax equal to B, and we see the values of B1 and B2. Whereas for null space, we have Ax equal to 0, and we need to find its solution. So A is here, X is here, and you have 0. So the equation turns out to be x1 minus x2 equal to 0, and 0x1 plus 0x2 equal to 0. That will not help us. So you'll have x1 minus x2 equal to 0, and therefore x2 will be equal to x1. Okay, so whoever was drawing those arrows, please stop doing that. Okay. So you'll have x1 minus x2 equal to 0, and therefore x2 just turns out to be. So I'll request for the last time, whoever is drawing those lines and those arrows, please stop it. Otherwise, I will end this lecture and so someone really is intending to do this. I am recording all this, and we have 13 participants. Okay, so one of you is doing that. So you'll have x1 minus x2 equal to 0, and from that x2 just turns out to be x1. Therefore, the value of x is equal to x1 and x2, and since x2 we have found is equal to x1, we can write this matrix as x1 x1, and the value of x1 will just be 1 and 1. So that's how we can find the null space. Now let's move to the second matrix, which is B, which is 0 1 0 2 and 3 3. So again, first, for finding the null space, we need to find the row reduced echelon form. Right? So to find the row reduced echelon form, I'm going to interchange row 1 and row 2. Okay, and once you interchange row 1 and row 2, B becomes equal to 1 2 3. This row is going to flip, and the row on the top is going to come at the bottom. Right? So the matrix now looks like 1 2 3 0 0 0, and if you see, it looks like an upper triangular matrix. The diagonal is here, and the elements below the diagonal are just 0. Right? And from here you can see that the first column is a pivot, and therefore we can see that the column space is a linear combination of independent columns. Okay. So the first column helps us, which is C1, and we write it as 0 1 from the original matrix plus C2, and since this column helps us 3 and 3, okay, so we write it as C2 into. So whoever is doing those lines has now removed it, so we can see it better. So you'll have C1 from the original matrix. So the first column here, 1 comma 0, it corresponds to first column here. So C1 into 0 comma 0 and 1 plus C2, this column here, right? And the original column is 3 and 3. So plus C2, 3 and 3. Right? So that becomes the column space. And then for the null space, we use Ax equal to 0 or Bx equal to 0. Right? And so we take the matrix 0 0 3 1 2 3, x1 x2 and x3 equal to 0 0. So whoever is, I will repeat again, whoever is doing that, I'm recording this, and it's very easy to find out who's doing it. So in doing so, you're disturbing everybody else. Okay. So from this matrix, we can see that x1 will be multiplied by 0, x2 with 0, and x3 with 3. Okay. So we can write 3x3 equal to 0 from here. And similarly, you'll have x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 equal to 0. So x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 equal to 0. So I can write this as x1 plus 2x2, and that cannot be 0. Right? Therefore, x2 just comes out to be minus x1 by 2. Therefore, now we can write the null space C as 1 minus half, because x1 is 1 and 0. So this is another method of finding the column space and the null space. So I'll be sharing this PPT with you. You can go through this much better. The next question is to determine whether the vectors are linearly dependent or independent. 7b. Uh, so to determine whether these are linearly dependent or independent, we first write the matrix. So the values are given to us 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, and 3, 2, 1. You apply the row operations and convert it into a row reduced echelon form. Okay. Uh, Please keep in mind, I think some of you had doubt in converting a matrix to row reduced echelon form. Only row operations are allowed. Please don't utilize any column operations. So, so we apply the row operations. So R2 I write as R2 minus 3 R1, and R3 as R3 minus 2 R1, and the matrix comes out to be this matrix. Okay, and then again I apply the third row, which I write as R3 minus 5 R2, okay, and the matrix comes out to be this. So if you see, the main diagonal is having the elements, and all the elements below the main diagonal are just 0, right? So this is a pivot because the first value is 1. This is a pivot. If I can remove the negative sign, this will just become a pivot, and then again this will become the pivot. So you have 3 pivots, and the number of values which are given to us 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. These are also 3 in number. So what we can understand from this is that the vectors are independent because 3 vectors are given to us and they are spanning r raised to 3. R raised to 3 means they are 3 dimensional. Therefore, these vectors are independent. Okay. Now we'll go to the third question. So the matrix U, V, and W is given to us, and we need to show that U, V, and W are pairwise orthogonal, and then we also need to find the length of U, V, and W. So let's see how we can do this. So the vectors U, V, and W are given to us, and we need to see if they are pairwise orthogonal or not orthogonal. So for doing that, we find the transpose of vector U, and we keep V as it is. We find the transpose of V, keeping W as it is, and we find the transpose of W, keeping U as it is, and we find the product of them. If those products are 0, then we say that the vectors or the matrices are pairwise orthogonal. So if you are able to see, uh, somebody keeps drawing all this, but if you can still manage to see, you'll see that U transpose is 1, 2, and 2, and V is 2 minus 2 and 1. So that is U transpose V. And if you multiply them, you can see that the answer turns out to be 0. Similarly, if you find V transpose and multiply this with W, then the answer is 0. Likewise, W transpose into U, and that also turns out to be 0. So from these answers which are 0, we can say that the matrices U, V, and W are pairwise orthogonal. So for two matrices to be orthogonal, their product has to be 0. Uh, Therefore, we can say that they are pairwise orthogonal. We are also supposed to find the length of these vectors. So that is a very simple exercise. We will take the vector or the matrix U divided by the length of U. So U is 1, 2, and 2. And the length of U can be found as root of 1 square. So U1 is U, which is the matrix 1, 2, and 2, divided by the square root of each value, which is 1 square plus 2 square plus 2 square. Right? And once you do that, you'll have this value and divide each element by the value. You'll get 1 by 3, 2 by 3, and 2 by 3. Right? Similarly, we can do the same exercise for V1. So the answer turns out to be this, and similarly for W1. So that will give us the length of U1, V1, and W. Uh, so this was question number 7, A, B, and C. Okay, and in part C we have found whether they are pairwise orthogonal or not, and also whether they are orthonormal or. So in the final exam also I'm expecting questions like this. Definitely questions on column space, null space, and so on. So you could practice more on those problems. So now let's move to question number 8 from the first paper itself. Okay, the Gram-Schmidt process. This is a definite question in your exam. Okay, and in your forthcoming IA2, you will definitely have a question on the Gram-Schmidt process. Okay, so please be very thorough with this. And if they want to ask you, they will also ask you about the QR decomposition. Okay. So question number 8 is on the GS process. Question B is finding the uh, dimension and basis for 4 fundamental subspaces. Okay. So this was covered in the lecture. Previously, I've also solved problems. What are the 4 fundamental subspaces and how do you find the dimension and the basis for the subspaces? So we'll see how we can solve this problem. And then the question on projection of B, matrix B on column space of A. Okay. So this was covered yesterday. So let's see how we can solve it. Okay. So 8A, we are given 3 matrices A, B, and C. Right? So these are the matrices A, B, and C, and we need to write the result in the form of A equal to QR. So let's do A equal to QR later. First, let's see how we can solve the GS process. So in the Gram-Schmidt process, you should remember that you need to first find the basis. The first basis is very easy to find because it is independent of previous basis. There is no previous basis. The subsequent basis Q2, Q3, Q4, and so on will depend on the previous basis which we have found. So I'll make it more clear. The first basis that we are trying to find is Q1. This is independent of any previous basis because there is no previous base. And the way to find Q1 is nothing but the vector A or the matrix A divided by the length of it. Now, if you see, finding the length here is very simple because A is 0, 0, 1, the length is 1. Right? So Q1 is nothing but A, that is 0, 0, 1. Okay? So you found the first basis, which is Q1. Now, when it comes to the second basis, Q2, so we have written B minus. Right? So first B will be the matrix B here, 0, 1, 1, minus Q1 transpose B into Q1. This entire factor Q1 transpose B into Q1 gives us the projection of Q1 on B. Right? So that's what I was saying, that the subsequent basis will depend on the previous basis. So you can see that So you can see that for finding Q2, we are depending on Q1, which is the previous uh, basis that we have found. So we'll enter the value of B first, which is 0, 1, 1, minus Q1 transpose into B, that is finding the dot product of Q1 transpose into B. So Q1 we have already found, B is given to us, okay. And you can find the product, and that product is 1, and Q1 we had found previously, which is 0, 0, 1. So when you do this calculation, your answer turns out to be this. Now we don't really have to worry about we don't really have to worry about any other basis, because the only previous basis that was found was Q, right? And P is again a unit vector, therefore we don't have to worry about the length. Therefore Q2 is nothing but B. So if you find the length of this will be 0 square plus 1 square plus 0 square root, and that is just 1. Therefore we have found the second basis, which is Q2, right? Now we'll find the third basis. So now you can see from this equation that the third basis will depend on C, which is the matrix. It will also depend on the first basis which we have found, which is Q1, and it will also depend on the second basis which we have found with Q2. So again we write C, which is 1, 1, 1. Q1 transpose into C, this will be a dot product, that is 1, and Q1 is found as 0, 0, 1, minus Q2 transpose into C, that's a dot product, and that is 1, and Q2 is 0, 1, 0. So once you find this, the answer turns out to be 1, 0, 0. Again, you don't have to worry about the length of this matrix, because it's a unit vector, right? So Q3 is just 1, 0, 0, right? So therefore Q, the total Q, is nothing but Q1, Q2, and Q3 put in as columns. So Q1 which we have found will be the first column, Q2 which we have found is the second column, and Q3 which we have found here above will be the third column. Therefore, the matrix Q, capital Q, is 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and 1, 0, 0. Okay. So if you were present in the lecture yesterday, after this process, after finding this process, we had divided this matrix with its length to find the basis. However, in this numerical, we don't have to worry about that, because the length here is 1. We call that a unit vector. Right? So now we have found the value of Q, and the second part of the question is to also have the QR decomposition. So let's see how we can do the QR decomposition. So in the QR decomposition, we are going to use the concept that R is nothing but Q transpose into A. Right? So A is given to us, which is the original matrix. Okay, and R will be found as this, which is Q1 transpose A, Q1 transpose B, Q1 transpose C. And you can see that these values have been left blank, because as we discussed yesterday, R is supposed to be an upper triangular matrix, right? So for the upper triangular matrix, the main diagonal will have values, and all the values below the main diagonal are going to be 0. So this first value, second value, third value, these three values have been left blank because they are just 0. Right? So we put in the value of Q, we put in the value of R, and once you multiply them, you'll get this value, and this value will correspond to A. So once you check this, A will be equal to Q into R. Right? Therefore, the R value is this. And what is the check for the R value? You can see that the main diagonal has elements, and all the contents below the main diagonal are 0. Right? So please remember, the R matrix is supposed to be an upper triangular matrix. Okay. So this was the first question in 8A. 8B is asking us to find the dimension and basis for the 4 fundamental subspaces, and the matrix A is given to us. So you can't find the dimension and basis as it is. Before finding the dimensions and the basis, we need to reduce the matrix into its echelon form. So I apply R3 as R3 minus R1. And once I do that, I can see that this is now reduced into its row reduced echelon form. You have an upper triangular matrix and all the contents below this are 0. Okay. And we can identify that these two are pivots, whereas these two columns are 3 columns. So the rank of the matrix is 2. The dimension of the row space is nothing but the rank of the matrix, which is 2 again. The dimension of the null space is n minus r. This is all coming from the notes which I've shared with you. So these are direct formulas. So the dimension of null space is nothing but n minus r. N is 4 and r is 2, which we have found here. Therefore, that is 2. And dimension of the column space is nothing but the rank of the matrix, which is 2. And that of the left null space is m minus r. M is 3, r is 2. Therefore, for the left null space, the dimension is 1. Okay. And how to find the basis for the column space, row space, left null space. This we had done in question number 7. So follow the same process and you will be able to get the column space, row space and left null space. So this I will leave to you. You can follow one of the parts from question 7 to get the answer. 8C is finding projection of B onto A. Right? So we need to find the projection of this matrix B onto A. So yesterday's lecture we have seen that we can find this projection using this formula, which is nothing but the matrix A into A transpose A product inverse into A transpose B. So we go step by step. So we go step by step here. We'll have A transpose A. So first find the transpose of A, which is this, and then multiply that with A, which is this. And this multiplication should be easy, so that answer you get as 6 minus 8 minus 8, 18. The next step will be to find A transpose A inverse. So once you have A transpose A, you can find its inverse. How can you find the inverse? First, divide this by the determinant, change the main diagonal, swap the main diagonal, and change the sign of the other diagonal. So we have the determinant here. I found the determinant. I interchange the main diagonal and change the sign of these two diagonals. So that will give you A transpose A inverse. The next step is to multiply A with A transpose A inverse. So that is A transpose A inverse here. Multiply this with A. That will be your answer. The next step is to find A transpose into B. So this is B, this is A transpose. That is the answer. And then combine everything and that will be a. So I have left this answer blank. The matrix blank. You can fill in the answer. So, but if you get some P matrix as in this form, then you're right. So now I'll move to the next question paper. So now I'll move to the next question paper. 7A is basically a theory question, and that is available in the notes which are shared in Google Classroom. So you can go through that. 7C is same as what is been asked in question paper 1. Okay. So that I will not be repeating. It's the same question with same values given. Let's focus on question 7B to determine whether or not these will form the basis for RQ. So let's look at the answer there. So first I will write the augmented matrix. That means the matrix together. So 2, 2, 1, 1, 3, 7, 1, 2, and 2. And then you have the dotted lines and B1, B2. So the first task is to convert this left hand side of the matrix into its row reduced echelon form. So I apply the row operations and the matrix turns out to be like this. So finally you end up with a matrix like this, where the first row is the pivot, the second is a pivot, and the third is a pivot. And across the dotted lines, the values of B's have changed according to the row operations. Okay? So you can see that all the three columns will have a pivot variable. Therefore, from the nodes which I have shared, directly they are linearly independent. And all these three rows will give unique solutions. And they also span three dimensions. And what is asked in the question is whether they are spanning R cube. So since there are three equations giving you three values, they are spanning R cube or three dimensions. Therefore, they are independent, linearly independent. 7C, as I told you, is just a repetition of question paper 1, so I'll leave that. I have solved it, and you can go through that. Then comes question number 8. A is again a very simple question. It's a theory question. The answer to that is put in the notes. Question B and C. B is solving Ax equal to B by least squares and finding B equal to some Ax bar. And C is again using the Gram-Schmidt procedure. So this the GS procedure. I have just given the steps. You can follow the same process which I have explained you in 8C in 8A in the previous question paper. So let's focus on 8B, which is solving by least squares. So for the least squares, this is the equation that we use: A transpose A x bar equal to A transpose B. Right? So the hint is given to us in the question itself. It says solve Ax equal to B by least squares and find P equal to Ax bar. Right? So to finding that, you have A transpose A x bar equal to A transpose B. So first step is to find A transpose A, and the answer is 2112. The next step is to find the RHS, which is A transpose B, and once you do that, you have 1 and 1. The idea here is to keep x cap or the vector x on the LHS, and on the RHS now you will have A transpose B as it is, but you will bring A transpose A from the LHS to the right hand side. Therefore, you will have in bracket A transpose A inverse. Therefore, the equation becomes x bar equal to A transpose A inverse into A transpose B. Right? So A transpose B is already calculated. A transpose A is calculated. You can always find its inverse. Divide this matrix by its determinant. Swap the main diagonal. Exchange the sign of the other diagonal. So once you do that, you will get A transpose A inverse, and x bar turns out to be a very simple value. So once you do that, the answer turns out to be like this. And you have been asked to find P equal to Ax bar. So x bar is 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. So P will be nothing but A dot x bar. And you can do that matrix multiplication to get 1 by 3, 1 by 3, and 2 by 3. So that's how we find the least square solutions. And as I told you for 8C, I have already explained you how to solve the GS procedure. And so I have only given you the steps here. You can follow these steps and try to get your answer. So these are the solutions to module 4 questions which are asked in the VTU question paper. I am very sure that most of the questions will remain the same. The GS procedure is sure shot. So you should know exactly how to solve it. I don't think they will go beyond giving you three matrices, right? Because the process becomes very tedious. So you may have the similar question like you see 8A. So they will not give you A, B, C, D because finding the fourth matrix becomes very difficult. So I think they will stick to only three, and only the numbers may change. If they want to make it easy for you, they may give you unit vectors so that length, finding the length is not a problem. But you should be ready for the GS procedure. Basic questions like null space, finding the dimensions, those will be there. Projection possibly, but GS procedure for sure. So I'll share this PPT in the Google Classroom.